So another Monday is here, and there's no shortage of college football news from the weekend that we need to break into, especially in terms of recruiting, where today we're going to start with the Texas Longhorns going into the state of Alabama and getting a massive win for one of the top prospects in the class of 2025. As four-star quarterback KJ Lacey commits to Texas, there's something within this commitment we need to address. But before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Texas gets KJ Lacey? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification as I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small. They are massive to content creators such as myself. And we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And first and foremost, who is KJ Lacey? Well, KJ Lacey is not only one of the top prospects in the state of Alabama, he's one of the top prospects in all of high school football, where if we look, regardless of position, this guy comes in as a four-star prospect, top 100 player in the nation, specifically number 7, a top 10 quarterback coming in at number 5, and the number 8 player in the state of Alabama. And when you turn on his film, there's a lot to like. Steve Sarkisian said whenever KJ Lacey committed to Texas that he saw a lot of Bryce Young in his game, and that is very high praise coming from a college football coach, especially one that was in on Bryce Young so early. That's really high praise. But whenever we break down what KJ Lacey does well, I think there's a lot you have to be excited about. First and foremost, he's got a live arm and he is a live player. What I mean when I say that, he's got a quick release, he's got a wiry release, and he's got a release that allows him to throw from different platforms. The other thing I really like about his game is that he has mobility, but he doesn't utilize his mobility in the manner that sometimes we become accustomed to from high school quarterbacks with this level of athleticism, where we see high school quarterbacks go Superman, where they just know they're more talented, they might be faster, they might be more physical, and they can pretty much well do whatever they want. We've seen that time and time again. And while KJ Lacey has all the athletic ability in the world, what really impressed me is how he utilized his mobility, where he didn't break the pocket and instantly think, okay, I'm going to run. He broke the pocket and kept his eyes glued downfield, looking where the defense was going to make a mistake, where he could throw the ball, how he could make a play through the air. And personally, I really love that. I talked about this all the time in regards to certain quarterbacks in college football. If you have that ability to break the pocket but keep your eyes downfield, it puts so much stress on defenses because, yes, the threat to run is there, but now at the point where a corner, a linebacker, a safety steps down to try and account for the quarterback run, now you've got a quarterback that is willing to just pop it right over that person's head for a big game. I love that about his game. So this is a dude that has a lot of positive aspects to his game, and it's a lot of fun to watch him play. And not only that, multiple other Division I colleges were after him. But one thing we need to understand, whenever Steve Sarkisian and Texas come to the table, especially for these offensive players, Steve Sarkisian has a little bit of a unique pitch because he is a unique offensive mind. He's going to be able to get into rooms and have these pitches for these offensive players that are going to be hard to compete against. But we need to first and foremost ask, what does this mean for the Texas Longhorns, but what does this also mean for the Alabama Crimson Tide? Alabama was a team that had offered KJ Lacey. They were after KJ Lacey, and there's an interesting connection between KJ Lacey and a prospect that Alabama can't afford to miss out on in the class of 2025, something we need to dive into. Well, let's start with that first part first. What does this mean for Alabama? And luckily for the Crimson Tide, there's two ways to look at this. The first and foremost, we'll talk about the good news. When the good news is you have a 5-star quarterback committed in the class of 2024, Julian Sand, someone who sits just outside the top 10 prospects in the nation at number 11. But if you listen to the national analysts, if you listen to these quarterback coaches that work with these high school guys, I think Julian Sand is going to land in the top 10 prospects because he is on fire right now and he's turning a lot of heads through these camps. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. But for the Crimson Tide, and I've said this before, I think Julian Sand is the most important prospect in the class of 2024 because he brings in, or at least in theory, he brings in some stability to that quarterback room because of how gifted he is. Tommy Rees wanted him when Tommy Rees was at Notre Dame. He committed to Alabama, but now that Tommy Rees is the offensive coordinator at Alabama, hopefully that relationship can continue growing, and that'll be positive. However, now we need to get into the flip side of this, because the good news for Alabama is you already have a quarterback committed in the class of 2024. The flip side of that is Alabama typically takes a quarterback every single year, so they're still going to be after top signal callers in the class of 2025, including a KJ Lacey. But the point that I wanted to really dive into, the point I referenced in the intro and not long ago, who KJ Lacey's teammate is. 5-star wide receiver and one of the most gifted prospects we've seen in some time, Ryan Williams, a top 5 player in the class of 2025, specifically coming in as the number 4 prospect in the nation and the number 1 wide receiver, and this is a dude that can straight up do it all. If you turn on Ryan Williams' film, you're going to be blown away. As a sophomore in high school, he's already recorded several sub-11 second 100-meter dashes, including several 10.49s. This is a guy that has a lot of juice. He's got a lot of explosion. When we look at Alabama, they have got to be able to get this guy in that 2025 class. But this is now an in for Steve Sarkisian in Texas. They were already going to be after Ryan Williams because why wouldn't you? Any college in the nation that needs wide receivers is going to be after Ryan Williams because he is that gifted. But now Steve Sarkisian and them have an interesting in. The quarterback that throws Ryan Williams the ball is a member of the Texas Longhorns class. So this is something we've got to keep up with. This is now going to be a really interesting battle going forward, whether or not Texas can get Ryan Williams on campus and whether or not they can move the needle for the very talented wide receiver, or whether the Crimson Tide can fend off Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. Wide receiver is going to be an interesting position for Alabama recruiting, both in the class of 2024 and 2025, but especially being that this is a kid from the state of Alabama, he's about must land for the class of 2025 for the Crimson Tide, and I can bet my bottom dollar that all those coaches are going to be putting on their hard hats, making sure he doesn't leave that class. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. That's it. See ya.